Emirates is like that toxic relationship that just keeps pulling you back in. I felt like I was in a toxic relationship with my job. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Jess. So in today's video, I want to talk to you guys about my experience as an Emirates flight attendant and why I chose to leave this job after almost 4 years. Everything I will say in this video is definitely not to shed a negative light on Emirates and the company and the flight attendant's job or lifestyle. Everything that I'm saying is just my own personal experience, my own reasons for leaving the company. I also want to say that Emirates has given me one of the best experiences of my entire life. Without this company and without this job opportunity, I would have not been able to do half the things that I've done. I would have not been able to travel the world. I wouldn't have met half the people that I've met. I wouldn't even be who I am today. There are so many benefits and positive aspects about the job and about the company, so I don't want to discourage anyone. I just want to share my own personal experience and kind of give some clarity as to why I chose to leave. So let's get into it. When I joined Emirates, after graduating from university and being at the stage that I was in my life, I had a completely different mindset. I was almost looking for an escape. Emirates seemed like my one-way ticket to a better life, to escape, to travel the world. Even though I knew I didn't want to stay forever, I didn't really have any plan B in mind. And you know, Emirates lifestyle is so unreal. Like, when you're a young person in your early 20s and you've never experienced this kind of lifestyle before, you've never experienced these kind of luxuries before, because for me this was luxury, right? Like, I always shared a room growing up, for example, with my sister, and we always lived in a 2-bedroom house, even though there was 3 of us, me, my sister, and my mom. So when I joined Emirates and I figured out, well, my accommodation is taken care of, they're gonna pay for my apartment, I get my own room, I was so excited about those things. It's not a bad lifestyle. Like, you get a really good salary, you get to travel, all of the hotels you stay in are paid for. I was not used to having so many things handed to me and being taken care of. So I think I was just so overexcited and like swept up in this lifestyle, and it's very easy to get kind of carried away with this lifestyle and get sucked in to the point where you never want to leave. For the first year, I was basically living a dream. I was traveling the world, seeing beautiful hotels, seeing places that I only could ever dream of. And after a while, things started to kind of take a toll on me with flying. So the first reason why I left the job was definitely health reasons. So I'll talk about first the physical aspect and then the mental aspect of my health and how it affected both of those areas. As a flight attendant, you are constantly in different time zones. You are completely thrown out of the loop all the time. I would constantly just feel this feeling of being delirious. Like, I would step off a flight sometimes, I would literally just feel like a zombie. Like, I would be so tired and so delirious that I didn't even feel like I was in my own body. Sometimes I wouldn't even be able to get out of bed. Sometimes I would be so tired that I would wake up at like 5 p.m. the next day. Like, I would wake up when the sun was setting. I would always come back from flights or land from flights. The last thing that I wanted to do was cook a meal. I started resorting to takeout food. I would feel so shitty about myself and my life. Like, I would just feel honestly depressed. And that sounds very dramatic and very like extreme. When I couldn't perform normal tasks, like to the point of I had no energy to clean my room, I had no energy to cook. It's just your entire system is like out of whack. Like, our bodies have a body clock, like we have a circadian rhythm. I just feel like my body was telling me something is off, like you are burnt out, you're so tired. My health has always been extremely important to me. I've always been very focused on my health, my physical well-being, my mental well-being. So when I started to see that taking a toll on my health, that was an indicator for me, like, it's time to go. It's time to try to figure out your next move, because you can't do this forever. I just started to feel extremely numb and I felt like I was lacking a purpose. That was a very empty feeling for me. Like, I started to really feel depressed and have a lot of feelings of loneliness, anxiety. As crazy as that sounds, because many people are going to say, well, you had a purpose, like you had a really good job, you know, you can find purpose in other ways. But it's something that was so draining that I honestly didn't even have the will to do other things that I once found interest in or that I wanted to do. So I would just wake up and feel so empty sometimes and lost. But I was that tired and fatigued and just numb almost that I felt like I didn't know what to do. I just felt a little bit lost. And after a while, everything just started to feel very repetitive, and I started to think like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I'm not really enjoying this anymore, and I don't feel fulfilled anymore. I don't feel happy. The fact of having no set routine or sleep schedule was extremely detrimental to me. A lot of crew are really good about managing their rest on time. I could not for the life of me manage my sleep schedule. And I would do everything, you know, like I would take melatonin like it was candy. I would listen to meditation music before bed. I would drink tea. I would do everything to try to get myself to sleep at certain times. But it's just not normal. Like, my body is not gonna be like, okay, let's go to sleep at 2 p.m. and then wake up at 3 a.m. Like, the amount of times that I've flown to New York with zero sleep. Don't get me wrong, we get rest on the flight, but it's exhausting just to do a full flight and have to like smile and be on your best behavior, be perfect, look perfect, have a full face of makeup, perfect uniform, wake up at 3 a.m. I remember one time I literally just went to the bathroom and I just collapsed. Like, I just literally had to sit on the toilet and like rest my head against the door, and I was just falling asleep, which is not allowed. Like, if I were to be caught, I would have definitely been fired. But I did not know what else to do. I would be bombarded with US flights like all the time. They were so exhausting, you know, and like the time zone difference is just so different. So my body would never be adjusted to one time zone. Like, I used to be so excited about flights and layovers and be so excited to see myself in the uniform. And then there just came a moment where I was like, get me out of this uniform, get me off this plane. I just don't want to do this anymore. The career path is extremely limited. I know a lot of people do choose this path as their career, which is completely fine, you know, like that might be some people's life calling, that might be their lifelong passion and their purpose. People find purpose in different things. I definitely feel like I hit a peak in my job and my career with Emirates. I realized like I need to start thinking about my future now. Either I stay in the aviation industry and I stay a flight attendant forever, or I start planning my exit and start trying to forge a new path for myself. I want to do other things. I want to accomplish other things. I see myself being other job titles and professions, or a business owner. It was just a very narrow, linear path that I didn't see myself on anymore. From the moment that you arrive in Dubai, Emirates is holding your hand, okay? They are taking care of everything. And I mean everything. Like, when you arrive in Dubai, they drive you to your accommodation, your apartment is paid for, everything is taken care of. Your bank account is set up for you, your SIM card is given to you for your phone. Like, every aspect of your life is monitored and controlled. I started thinking to myself, like, I don't want to have to rely on this company forever. I think this realization hit especially during COVID, because a lot of my colleagues unfortunately lost their jobs and were made redundant. So just to kind of have your entire life taken care of by a company for 10 years and then taken away from you, I felt like I was so reliant on the company, and I just wanted more of a sense of realness and responsibility to take care of myself in the real world, because Emirates is not the real world. And I think people who work for the company and people who live in Dubai can also kind of relate to this. I don't feel like Dubai is even the real world. Everything is available at the snap of a finger, right? So I just felt, for me, like I wasn't living in reality. I almost felt like I was living in this weird bubble fantasy land, and I knew that at some point it would pop. Like, I'd rather have that reality shock sooner rather than later. I know that leaving Emirates and leaving this very, very sheltered lifestyle is a huge transition. I'm sure anyone who's worked for Emirates or anyone who's lived in Dubai or anyone who's a flight attendant can attest to the fact that when you leave, it is such a transition to go back to the real world. Like, to go back to regular routines and normal jobs and try to find a job and try to find a new life for yourself. Like, it's such a transition. The company controls your life. If you need leave or time off, of course this is the same with every company. If you need leave or time off, you need to get it approved. But there was just so many times where I needed leave for an important event or something with my family or friends, and I've even heard of people having important events like their own wedding and they weren't approved for the leave. There was always this fear of, well, if I go, I might lose my job or I might get in trouble. I think I just wanted more of a sense of control in my own life. There were also a lot of rules and stress regarding like rules on board and like image in uniform and things like that. And I do understand like they have that in place for a reason, like that's a part of their image in uniform, standards, whatever. But I just felt like there was a lot of unnecessary pressure put on us as employees. The lifestyle, the mindsets, the conversations. My entire life was becoming consumed by Emirates. Like, my brain was just on a loop of, you know, what a passenger said, what did this senior say, who is this person flying with, oh my god, how many cards did I push? Started to realize like I'm not even able to think about anything else anymore other than this job. Like, this job is consuming my thoughts. And for me, I just didn't want to talk about it all the time. Like, can we please talk about something else? Like, I don't want to say that in a bad way, because at the end of the day, it's honestly not anyone's fault. Like, I think a lot of people like me just get wrapped up in the lifestyle. Like, I'm not even saying I was any better or above that. I used to do the same thing, right? Like, it was word vomit. I would just see people and talk about Emirates and talk about flying and layovers and flights. Of course, it's normal for people to discuss what's most relevant in their life. But it was getting to a point where I didn't feel mentally stimulated in any conversations. I wanted to expand my mind. I wanted to expand my life, expand my skills. I felt like the environment was extremely limiting and exhausting to a point where I couldn't care or relate to people anymore. The lifestyle with Emirates is extremely centered around partying and drinking. I'm not categorizing everyone and putting everyone in that box. And I'm not saying going out and partying is like a bad thing. Like, I love to go out and I love to enjoy a night out as much as the next person, but I felt like I had enough of that, and I think I was just a little bit over it. If you're constantly in an environment that's like pulling you back towards habits and a lifestyle that you're trying to outgrow and trying to like move away from, I just don't think it's healthy to be somewhere where you're constantly feeling tempted to go out and party and drink. And it wasn't even just on the layovers, like it's in Dubai as well. Everything around crew life in Dubai was very centered and focused on that drinking party lifestyle. Like, kind of just wanted to get out of that that habit and that routine. I truly felt like I was limiting myself in terms of my skills, my mindset, my knowledge, my potential. I wasn't growing as a person, as a professional. I wasn't using my brain enough. I just wasn't feeling fulfilled. And like I said, a lot of people find fulfillment and purpose in different ways. This is my personal experience. I personally wasn't feeling fulfilled. I need to have a purpose in my life. I need to feel fulfilled. I need to feel constantly like I'm evolving, or I'm not going to be happy. I feel happiest when I can look back and see that I've been developing. I feel happy when I'm growing, when I accomplish new things, when I learn new things, right? I had no energy to learn other skills because with this job, you do have a lot of free time, right? Like I had a lot of free time if I wanted to learn new things outside of the job, I could have. And I did do that, but not to the extent that I wanted to. I just felt like I wasn't in a place where I could grow anymore. I wasn't utilizing myself enough. I wasn't feeling challenged. Like I would go to work every day and just feel extremely unmotivated and bored, and the work is so repetitive. The entire job is very robotic. So as much as it is dynamic and interesting overall, in terms of your skills, it's extremely repetitive. I almost felt like I was turning into this shell of myself, if that makes sense. And I felt like I was turning into a shell of my potential self, just kind of lost in life and lost in my thoughts. I felt like I had put myself into a box. I was just completely defined by Emirates. I don't like to be defined by my job or my profession, but I definitely felt like people just defined me as, oh, you're a flight attendant. And I didn't even like defining myself as that because I know that I am more than that and that I can be more than that and I want to be more than that. When I first joined, my mindset was in a totally different place, right? Like I was younger, of course. This comes with maturity, this comes with age, this comes with evolving through life. Like, so I knew that this was coming. I just didn't know when. And I told myself, like, look, I don't care how much struggle I need to go through. I am willing to go through that struggle now rather than later. I want to make the transition now. I saw this quote one time and it's stuck with me ever since. It said, it's very important to know when to leave. The job, the party, the relationship, whatever. Because I think a lot of people get stuck. They get stuck inside of their comfort zone. And that's the main piece of advice that I'll give to people is know when to leave and set a plan for yourself, set a timeline for yourself. A lot of people feel like they have no other options and then they get stuck in like a job, for example. But if you're not happy anymore and that job's not fulfilling you, you don't need to be defined by that job. Like you don't need to do that for the rest of your life just because you've done it so far. If something is no longer serving you in your life and you felt like it's reached its full potential, I think you need to know when to leave. You are alive, you are in a world full of options. You just need to apply yourself and put yourself out there. You got this job, you'll get another job, you know? I'm still going through a lot of lifestyle changes. I'm still going through a transitional period. When I started to not enjoy the layovers anymore and not enjoy the traveling aspect about Emirates anymore, I started to question myself and I was like, okay, why am I still here? When I first joined, that was literally my priority, just to travel. I just hit this wall and I was like, okay, there's nothing really more that I can take from this job or that this job can offer me. I'm all about like personal growth, personal development. If I feel like I'm stagnant in my life or like I'm not evolving as a person, I start to feel stagnant in other areas of my life too. And I would lack motivation for basic things. Like I just wouldn't even have motivation to make a to-do list and follow through with it or plan my week or my day. Like I just didn't see long-term goals anymore. For me, when I would land on a layover in a new city that I used to be so excited about, and then I started to realize like I don't even want to go out and explore the city anymore. Like I used to get excited to land and go to the bed and like pop on Netflix and just order Uber Eats or room service. Like I used to look forward to that. Some destinations, for example, like Durban, South Africa, I can't even actually say that I visited Durban. I walked into the room and just collapsed in the bed and I slept from the moment that we arrived until the wake-up call the next day. I slept. Like I didn't do anything. I didn't even eat. I didn't even like wash my face. I slept the entire layover because I was so exhausted. I was like, you know what, if I'm not even excited about the travel aspect of this anymore, there's really nothing more that I can take and do with this job. Travel even turned into a chore. When I was younger, I wanted to travel by whatever means possible. Like I just wanted to see the world. I didn't care how, I didn't care with who. So Emirates was perfect for me. But there came a time when I was on layovers and I realized like I wasn't enjoying as much seeing beautiful places with strangers. Like I just thought to myself, I would rather be here with people who I have meaningful relationships with. Like, I would rather be seeing this and experiencing this with my friends or my boyfriend or my family or someone that I love and care about. Like, and that might sound really bad because the crew were amazing people. Like, I met some amazing, wonderful people with beautiful souls, like so much fun. I think there just came a point where I felt a little bit burnt out from meeting so many people that didn't have a meaning in my life and weren't going to be a meaningful connection to me. There's so many moments where I don't even remember who I was with. Like, of course, there are layovers that were extremely special to me. And I remember exactly the crew. I remember exactly who I was with because we had such an amazing time together. I felt like I was traveling a little bit like aimlessly, literally just wandering aimlessly through a city that kind of carried over into my whole life. And I just felt like I was wandering through life. I knew that this would happen. It wasn't like a shock to my system. So I needed to make a little bit of sacrifices when I left. Like, I am still going through a transitional period in my life. I'm still going through growth. I'm still going through changes. Like, no one was going to take my hand and say, okay, Jess, it's time to leave Emirates. Like, you need to leave now. You have better things waiting for you. If I didn't leave, I honestly think that another 3 or 4 or 5 years might have flown by, because time goes like this. Time flies by in the real world. But with a flight attendant job and being in that industry, something about time is just so unrealistic, and time goes even quicker. You're like, where did the years go? Like, where did 3 years just go? If I can give you a piece of advice, have a timeline in your mind. If you know that you don't want to stay in this job forever, have an exit plan. Save money, okay? Like, that's one of the biggest things that I can say. Save your money. Think about, okay, what am I going to do after? How long am I going to stay? Am I going to do one contract, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? Have fun. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your time. Like, if you are young and just entering into this job, oh my God, it's a dream come true. Like, you are going to have the best experience of your entire life. You are going to see the world. You're going to make money. You literally get paid to see the world. I think what really helped me in the past year as well was focusing on other things. I started to take time to myself to really learn new skills online. I started to take a dance class. I joined a bachata class, yoga classes, gym, and my health and my fitness. So I would just say really try to be mindful and live a balanced lifestyle, because that's going to really help you with your mental, your physical health. Okay guys, so that's all that I have for you today about Emirates and why I resigned. So I hope that you guys learned a little bit about the company and about my reasonings, my personal experience, and why I chose to leave. And I hope to see you guys soon.